Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're talking about 4-H. I'm talking with JoLynn Miller.
Nice to see
How
you
are you
again.
doing? One name, JoLynn.
One name. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. One name, two capitals.
Okay, so is that your first and middle name?
No, I've got a middle name as well.
What would that be?
Charlene.
JoLynn Charlene Miller. All right.
Got it.
Okay. All right. It's been pleasant talking with you.
Great.
Now, I brought up during the break, one of the things I love about 4-H is they've got that new green corduroy jacket.
They look good in their whites. They do. They're dressed up. The kids look ready to do anything. It teaches them that they have to dress up. They have to be presentable. And that's part of life.
Right. I asked them how often they wear those, and I think they said they wear it at the meetings and on
Special occasions.
Yeah, like when they're selling their animal and everything, and they're looking really sharp. And I like those, so they match the future farmers' blue corduroy jackets.
Yeah.
All right, now enough of that, but that uniform is really cool. And they get to wear all the stuff on their hats.
All their ribbons and their medals on their hats, yeah.
It makes me feel really good when I see them all dressed up like that.
Good.
And I think it makes them feel really swell too.
What?
But one thing I've noticed from them, and we'll get to talking about that, is their people skills. And one of the things about selling the animals, down there at the pre-auction brunch, and before that even, I mean, they're into marketing.
They are. They are into marketing because they need to sell that animal to make the record books add up. Like I said earlier, that they track everything that they've put into that animal, how much it costs. They need to sell it for a certain amount to make a certain amount of money. And so they're anticipating all of these costs, and so then they market to certain people so that they can recover the cost of raising that animal.
Right, and some of the marketing skills they use are like pictures and pictures with the animal with funny hats or weird shoes or whatever, and the things like that, and mail them out. Maybe they'll get postcards, mail them out ahead of time to certain people.
And they're into social media for selling.
Right.
They're selling them on Facebook and on Craigslist. They'll do whatever it takes to sell that animal. Yeah.
Right, and even down to the last day at the brunch.
Then talking to people, right? Using those social skills.
Right, and that's one thing too. The kids tend to be very outward.
I think it's again, it's the way that 4-H works. We encourage them to talk to other kids. We start off having them, like I said, in their club meeting, having parliamentary procedure meetings just within their club and their peers, and that transfers over to being able to talk to other peers, which transfers into being able to talk with adults.
And it makes you feel like you're a part of a society and part of a group, and you know the rules, you know how to communicate, and
it does. They do a great job.
Expands your family.
It does. It's
quite a lot.
It is. It's a community. We're a community within 4-H, but the thing with 4-H is that we connect to other community organizations through civic engagement and service, and so then we're connected to other organizations and other people within the area.
Now, it would seem like you would meet more than once a month. Now, are there programs, or don't they meet more often? Or I'm sure they do informally.
Well, they meet, like I said, their community club meets once a month, but then on top of their club meetings, then they're going to project meetings. And so depending on what project they're in, and depending on what time of the year, if it's closer to fair, and they're really having to learn how to shear their sheep and how to clip hooves and how to wash their animal, they're going to be meeting more often as it gets closer to fair.
And probably friendships at school as well, because they go to school with the
again,
kids.
it's a community, it's a family.
All right, and it's a family with an up and down age ladder in it, because the club would have young kids to older kids, and the younger kids being able to look up to the older kids, and the older kids being able to pass on information.
And oftentimes we get kids that are above the 4-H age, but they're either staying locally going to community college, or they've decided on a trade and they're staying in town to pursue that trade. And they come back and they become leaders within those community clubs, and so they're able to share that knowledge. People are connected to 4-H. They stay connected.
Okay, now when did, say, 4-H start to branch out and to get into other things? I could see how, naturally from the turn of the century or something, like how shooting, shooting rifles and things like that would be, and archery be a part of the culture and a part of a way to feed, the family and things like that. And of course, raising the chickens or government skills and things would have been a natural, but now you've got bottle rocketry, and I think I don't have that.
We've got robotics,
going on. Yeah, okay.
aerospace, electricity. I think.
So why did this? How did you feel this need and feel that 4-H needed to serve it?
I don't think it's something that's something specific to our region. Again, it's a national move. 4-H clubs in general and the people watching and looking and assessing 4-H clubs realize that it's the way that we engage the youth. It doesn't matter what we're teaching them. It's experiential learning. It's doing an activity, reflecting upon that activity, and then applying it to their daily lives, the lessons that they've learned. And so we moved, I don't know when, probably years ago, to increasing the types of projects that we offer for youth, because again, it's how they learn, it's how they're engaged, it's not what they're engaged in.
Okay, so how they learned, how do you mean that? How, I know how I learn. I usually learn by asking questions and getting answers, or answering my own questions. I was kind of basically taught, I think, if I can ask a good question, I should be able to answer it myself.
Well, the youth, all the people in youth development and that are doing all this research on youth have really realized that kids need to be a part of the learning process to really understand what they're learning. They don't need to just be talked to. Okay. And so they need to participate in an activity. And if they ask a question, how come it does this, or why does it do this, that instructor, that mentor guides them to the answer. And they say, well, I don't know. Why don't you help us find out? And the youth is the one that then finds the answer to the question instead of just being told what that question, the answer is. And I think that's what's really unique about 4-H is we really allow that process to happen, and we encourage our volunteers to do this. It's inquiry-based learning where as guides and mentors, we ask the questions and the youth find the answers themselves.
Okay, now how do you get all the people to, obviously you at the end of the last segment, you're asking for volunteers, but how do you get all of the volunteers? Do you get a lot of volunteers?
I come on shows like this.
And do you get a lot of volunteers?
We do. We do, but we're always looking for more. We will take any volunteer in any capacity, whether it's they want to teach a specific project on whatever their passion is, or if somebody's not willing to have the time and they want to just commit to one project or one, event for the year.
Okay, I want to say, did the clubs kind of take care of themselves? They have their own little cultures in there, so to speak. I mean, with an overview of knowing their 4-H, but I mean, passing on, parents, siblings, other people helping out.
Well,
so, I mean, does a lot of the reach out come right from the core of the club?
It has in the past. Generally, we have 7 community clubs here in Amador County. Okay. And generally, they kind of, if they see a need or if somebody decides within that club that they know somebody that wants to teach a project, it kind of collectively happens within that club. And I'm really trying to create a more intentional, larger, broader outreach of volunteers.
Okay. So does the bottom basically reach up to you and ask for help more than the top going down and trying to
I think in the past.
What am I trying to say?
Oh, I think
Go
in
ahead,
the past.
answer it.
I think in the past they haven't had an advisor or anybody really to push this volunteer recruitment, this idea, and so it's been a bottom-based, volunteer-based kind of organization where, I know a friend that can teach this, or somebody within that club has a family member that could teach sheep or whatever it is, and when the sheep leader that's been the sheep leader for 20 years finally is retiring and taking off, they've had a co-leader that steps in. And so what I think I'm really trying to do is create a broader sense of 4-H and really reach out to community members to create more offerings for these youth.
Okay, so do you meet with the clubs individually, or is there times when the leaders from the clubs meet with you? Where would that happen, and how does that work?
The program representatives in each of the counties, before somebody becomes a volunteer, goes through training with them. Okay. And then I'm also creating a volunteer development day within the 4 counties. So a couple times a year I'll be having training and development for these volunteers.
Okay,
to have
now
them be
I've
better.
been remiss because we haven't mentioned Jennifer
Garlitz, yes.
Garlitz, okay. I guess she's the point person here.
She is. Jennifer has been the program representative in Calaveras for 25 years, and when Larry Fossen retired after 21 years in Amador, Scott Oneto and I felt that Jennifer would be able to hit the ground running in Amador because she has so much experience. And so she now has a cross-county assignment. She's working in Calaveras and Amador counties, being that point person for the program.
Okay. Now, so does she meet with the clubs? Is that is that a part of her duty?
She can if they need meetings. She doesn't have to, but she often goes to club meetings. She helps hold the council meetings, so the council is the one that kind of comes up with ideas and stuff for the entire county, and she runs the council meetings and things like that.
Okay. Okay, now, why don't you talk one more time about the volunteers and what the volunteer gets out of being a part of the program? And you can look there if you want to make a direct plea.
Well, we need volunteers, and we need volunteers for a number of reasons. These youth need a role model, and they need somebody to look up to. And if you have an expertise in whatever that is, flower arranging, cake decorating, electricity, we can use you to inspire youth. Maybe whatever your passion is there's a kid out there waiting for somebody to teach them, and that's going to be their passion. So please contact myself, JoLynn Miller, or Jennifer Gerlitz to become a volunteer in 4-H.
Do you have a contact phone number?
I do. It's 533-5686.
Okay.
It's a new phone number.
Okay, JoLynn, thank you very much.
I appreciate you having me.
Being here on TSPN's News in Depth.
Perfect.
Okay, and stick around. There's
You're
more
watching
TSPN.
Amador County's local television network, TSPN.